to the RS Technical Solutions Tech Talk. I'm your host, Miguel Godino from RS Americas, and today we're going to be having Thomas and Betts here and talk a little bit about their food and beverage solutions and their role in shaping it. So before we get started, why don't we go ahead with our guest from Thomas and Betts and go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers and let us know a little bit about your background and what you do at Thomas and Betts.
So my name is Brian Barr. I am the Market Development Manager for Food and Beverage. A little bit about my background. I am an engineer by education.
Nice.
So I was a design engineer for about 4 years, really focused on infrastructure design. I had an opportunity, I didn't like sitting in the office all day, so I had an opportunity to move to Cisco Food Services. So I spent about a decade there in a variety of different roles. From there, I moved into an industrial MRO contractor who had a really big focus on food and beverage. Thomas and Betts started to recruit for a market development manager. I was the 92nd candidate and the only one that actually qualified. They were looking for an engineer who understood food and beverage processing.
Yeah.
So I've been in a variety of different roles. I started out with the U.S. After about 2 years, I had North America and Mexico. I was in a global role for about 6 years. I had food and bev data centers for a little while, and then I've been in my current role for about a little over a year now.
Well, thank you for that information. Really extensive history out there, so really good to know all that information for our viewers. So before we let's go ahead and start this off with our first question, right, for the food and beverage and Thomas and Betts. So let's start off by asking, what types of challenges currently are being faced in the food and beverage industry?
So food and bev is a very complex and a very competitive industry. You're talking multiple location, multiple decision makers, and decentralized purchasing. Probably the biggest challenge that they currently face that really started about 2020 with the pandemic is supply chain issues. So they're dealing with perishable products. If they need a product, they need it now. They can't wait. Labor and talent is another issue that they continue to face. About 50% of the existing workforce is nearing retirement age. So that's one of the main reasons that you're seeing an acceleration in automation projects. People are really the big driver. The number one market driver is really increasing production. If you're looking at it from a leadership perspective, they're looking at, overall cost reduction, increasing efficiency, reliability, safety, increasing hygiene, and then having flexibility in the electrical system to make changes. When you're looking from a facility standpoint, they have people inside, right, which do cause issues. They have the process that can cause issues with the electrical system, but then they also have the wash down. So you have things like liquid ingress, which is the number one reason for electrical system downtime. Corrosion, which costs the industry a little over $2 billion a year. You have condensation, which there's no way to prevent condensation, so you do have to mitigate it. Then you have personal safety, machine safety, but then you have food safety. So they're making products for consumers, and they have to keep the people safe. So it's a lot that really goes into everything. Yeah. And if you think about the electrical system, it connects everything. So it's a really important piece of it.
So pretty much a lot of things to cover. Thomas Betts has got a lot of things to cover in order to get a solid solutions for the customer. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So let's go ahead and take a moment to discuss the certifications you need to be used in the food and beverage industry. Do you have to go through the FDA or another organization to get approval to be used in the industry?
So your two governing bodies are really the FDA with the Food Safety Modernization Act, and you do have the USDA with the Food Safety Inspection Service. And those are split up just really depending on segment. So USDA would really regulate the protein, dairy, and then FDA pretty much everything else. When it comes to ratings, one that I commonly am requested is this food grade. Okay. Now, food grade is not a rating, it's not a certification. It's really a very creative marketing term. And it's based off a definition that tends to be very manipulated. So Food grade, by definition, it's really a material property. It has to be materials that if accidental contact is made, it's not going to alter a product anyway. I say accidental because in the electrical system, we don't make products to come into continuous contact with food. The FDA and the USDA are really not going to certify electrical system products. You do have different, guidelines that you go by, or regulations like food compliant material, which will come out of the FDA's Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21. There are things like SQF, BRC, 3A, European Hygienic Engineering Design Guidelines. We're starting to see more and more of that take place in the USA. In the U.S., the principles of sanitary design. All of them have different spheres of influence. So there's not like one set that you have to do all of this. But the one thing that all of them agree on is food safety has to be prioritized above everything else. One of the ones that we use is NSF, National Sanitation Foundation. So what we want to do is, because we don't make products for continuous contact with food, is we want to get a splash zone rating. Splash zone and food zone are very important because if anything becomes contaminated in those two zones, they'll contaminate the product. We do have some products that are actually food zone no contact rated, which means they are completely safe to come into contact with food, but that's not their intended purpose. So NSF's a big one for us. UL is a really big one for us for ingress protection. So we want to get UL 4, 4X, and 12. And then we also want to get an IP69 rating. And IP69 is really maximum ingress protection. One of the things that we do is we don't get ingress ratings on components. We get ingress ratings on systems. And the system is a very important piece because everything needs to be working in concert together to give them the performance over time that they need. One of the challenges that I didn't mention is we see a lot of people piece things together, get this here, this here, this here, and hope it all works, and that's not realistic. Yeah. Hygienic design is something we follow. Material selection is something we follow, especially for corrosion protection and food safety. But IP69 is one of the bigger ones. A lot of people ask for it, not knowing what it means. The 6 is really, it passes the dust tight, and then the 9 is really a high pressure washdown. We can self-certify with NEMA, but that's really that trust me rating if you self-certify, and that's why we choose to go with third parties like UL.
Well, a lot of things to cover again, right? A lot of standards that Thomas and Bez needs to cover, and also for the system for the customer. So what are some of the products the TMB has to offer in the food and beverage industry?
So we focus really on the cable protection and wire management. So from a cable protection, we have the stainless steel 316 and 304 rigid systems. We have a really unique product, which is our universal conduit body, which is really a 4-to-1 SKU reduction. A lot of people like that. Aluminum is coming back in demand. I'm really seeing that as the price of stainless inches up. More and more people are kind of moving to aluminum. We have the PVC coated, so our OCal product that still has a big opportunity in food and bev and a lot of different applications. We just brought out a new hub. Okay. So we do have a hub that really supports covering threads and increasing ingress protection. Threads are a nightmare to clean. Food particles get in it, so having covered threads are important. A new drain. So we just won the NECA Showstopper Award at the beginning of the month on this new drain. What's unique about this drain is it doesn't require any standing water to drain, which most drains require a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Ours drains instantly. It does have a small weep hole, but it does give you the ingress protection that you need at the seal, and it actually has great ingress protection at the weep hole, surprisingly. Tygenics is another product that we offer that won the NECA Showstopper Award last year. It is the world's first 2-piece antimicrobial detectable cable tie. Okay. We did a great job bringing the detectable cable tie to market years ago, but we only addressed food quality. By adding the antimicrobial additive, we've now addressed both food safety and food quality. So if that product becomes contaminated, breaks off, falls into a product, it doesn't transfer the contamination. So it's just a really easy way to increase hygiene. Motor lead disconnects have a really big play in food and bev because there's so many different motors that they're changing out. We're just getting ready to launch a new product, food and bev non-metallic liquid type A system. So this will be a NSF rated product with an antimicrobial jacket. It will come with either a non-metallic or a stainless steel fitting. We'll have straights, 45, 90s. Now, what makes this product unique is a lot of people like the orange general purpose. Okay. That product in a washdown area is going to mold. So having the antimicrobial jacket eliminates that. We also rate it as a system, so it has the IP69 rating across both the non-metallic and the stainless steel fittings. We also test our products going into our rigid system, so we're providing a superior ingress protection across the entire cable protection. Then we have our liquid tights, our metallic versions, which have either a stainless steel or a galvanized steel core, and then the fittings that go with that, and the same concept. They're IP69 rated across the entire system. Bacteria-resistant offsets get a lot. Just gives you an opportunity to bacteria-free mount metal framing systems, and then ladder tray is one that I commonly see people asking about.
Well, no, now that I know all these standards that Thomas Benz needs to cover in the food and beverage, I understand why. Large range of products there from Thomas and Benz,
I think
right?
Hundreds of thousands, so there's no way I can touch it.
Yeah, no worries. So let's talk a little bit more about the expected life and durability of the Thomas and Benz liquid tight system. What is the expected surface life for them, and do they require regular maintenance?
So the key to it is really finding the right product for an application. So if you're using a liquid tight system with a stainless steel core and a stainless steel fitting, you're going to get a lot more life out of it. So you're going to get years, let's just say 5 years. If you're going to use a non-metallic fitting, so our type A with our non-metallic type A liquid tight, your life probably is not going to be as long as that. So you always have to account for people, process, and washdown. So with the washdown, when it comes to non-metallic components, they make products brittle over time. And then add the people factor in there. The washdown crew comes in, they're using your conduit as ladder, they put the weight, it shears it off. Has to be changed out. So it really is coming up with the right product for an application. I was in a facility not too long ago. He was using nothing but non-metallic fittings, and I asked him, I said, what kind of life are you getting out of there? He goes, if I get 7 to 14 days, I've achieved something. So going with the right product for the application is really the right way to go. But you do have to put it into a preventative maintenance check. So you want to make sure that your connections are staying secure, that over time the vibrations of the machine aren't trying to pull it out. You want to make sure that the non-metallic components or any sealing rings aren't drying out and causing liquid ingress. So as long as you're checking those, then you're going to get the life out of it that you need.
Well, that's really good information to know. I'm sure our viewers appreciate that. So what about other factors with regard to durability? Do your products' durability change with the different humidity, temperatures, and corrosive environments?
So the key really is to find the right product for the application. So doing that on the front end is very important. One thing that I commonly see people make a mistake with is galvanic corrosion. So mating two dissimilar metals. You can't do that in food and bev because moisture is always present, and then once that happens, it's chemistry. The nobler metal accelerates corrosion of the lesser. So as long as you're accounting for corrosion protection, mitigating condensation, you have the ingress protection ratings, you're going to get the durability, and also accounting for material limitations. So like non-metallics becoming brittle over time. So if you're accounting for all of that, then you're going to get the product durability you need to get the performance over an extended period of time.
Really good to know about that. Do you have any examples when your conduit or fittings were used in the corrosive or high debris filled environment, and how did they perform?
So I've actually been in over 1,000 U.S. plants and been in over a couple hundred international plants. So I have tons, and we can talk all day about it. But I mean, two that really come to mind is, we went into, and we always respect the confidentiality of food and bev, so we try not to share names unless we're given permission. But we went to a protein processing facility, and the problem was is they standardized on the wrong type of products, and they were having considerable downtime. I'm talking like over 30%. So what we did is we really upgraded them to rigid stainless steel device boxes, liquid tight systems with stainless steel fittings, and we're able to reduce their downtime by over 50%. And the product, holds up to the wash down, holds up to the people, and holds up to the process. And those are really the three factors that you need to account for. And then there was also a snack food manufacturer that was actually even in worse shape than that. And the day we showed up, he's like, we need help. And it was a liquid ingress corrosion nightmare. And we just honestly just traced it back to point of origin, really looked at what was going on, recommended the right products, put it into place. And the last I talked to him, it had been in place for 3 years and was still functioning just fine.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's one of many stories that you might have for trying to find a solution, right? So that pretty much wraps up our little discussion here. So before we close this out, is there any final thoughts that you want us to know about?
Yeah, so we do offer a unique service to food and beverage called a preventative maintenance walkthrough. And this is a service where our sales application engineers in the field, so there's 40 or 50 of them around the country, have been trained by me, will actually come into the food and bev processing facility, look at the cable protection, the wire management, identify issues or potential issues, and make recommendations on the right product solutions to improve the overall operation. So that is a service that is available out there. It is 100% confidential. They will sign an NDA if necessary, and it is no cost.
Well, I want to go ahead and say thank you for your time here. I'm sure our viewers learned a little bit more about T&B and their solutions for the food and beverage industry. And to our viewers, remember to go ahead and check out RS and T&B for your next applications. And we'll go ahead and catch you next time. Thank you.